Hey up, my duck YouTube. Welcome back to another video with Rams fan YT. Today we'll be looking at history of your club, and I'm pretty certain it's episode 14 of this series. Going quite far north from this episode to Newcastle upon Tyne with Newcastle United. Why? Who else would I be talking about? And the first record of a football club actually been playing on Tyneside dates from the 3rd of March 1877 with Ellswick Rugby Club. Later that year, Newcastle's first football club, Tyne AFC, was formed. The origins of Newcastle United Football Club itself can be traced back to the foundation of a football club by Stanley Cricket Club of Byker in November 1881. This team was renamed Newcastle East End Football Club in October 1882, as to avoid confusion with a cricket club in Stanley in County Durham. Rosewood Football Club of Byker merged with Newcastle East End a short time later. In 1886, Newcastle East End moved from Byker to Heaton. In August 1882, Newcastle West End formed from the West End Cricket Club. And in May 1886, the club moved into St James's Park. The two clubs became rivals in the Northern League. And in 1889, Newcastle East End actually became professional before becoming a limited company the following year. However, on the other hand, Newcastle West End were in serious financial troubles and approached East End with a view to take over. Newcastle West End were eventually dissolved, and a number of their players and backroom staff joined Newcastle East End. This effectively merged the two clubs together, with taking over the lease on St James's Park in May 1892. With only one senior club in the city for fans to support, development was very quick. Despite being refused entry to the Football League's First Division at the start of an 1892-93 season, they were invited to play in the Second Division. Now, there wasn't really that many big names in the Second Division back in them days, so they turned down the offer and remained in the Northern League, stating gates would not meet for heavy expenses incurred for travelling. In a bid to start drawing larger crowds, Newcastle East End decided to adopt a new name in recognition of the merger. Suggested names included Newcastle FC, Newcastle Rangers, Newcastle City, and the City of Newcastle. And it was eventually decided Newcastle United on the 9th of December 1892 to signify the unification of the two teams. The name change was accepted by the FA on the 22nd of December, but the club was not legally constituted as Newcastle United Football Club Company Limited until the 6th of September in 1895. At the start of the 1893-94 season, Newcastle United were once again refused entry to the First Division, but this time Arsenal. They played their first competitive match in the division that September against Woolwich Arsenal, where it finished 2-apiece. Turnstile numbers were still quite low, and the incensed club published a statement stating, "The Newcastle public do not deserve to be catered for as far as professional football is concerned." However, eventual figures did pick up in 1995-96, when 14,000 fans watched the team play Bury. That season, Frank Watt became secretary of the club, and he was instrumental in the promotion for the 1898-99 season. However, they lost their first game 4-2 at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers in 13th place. In 1903-04, the club built a promising squad and went on to really dominate English football for a decade. The team, known for their artistic play, combining teamwork and quick short passing. Long after his retirement, Peter McWilliam, the team's defender at the time, said the Newcastle team of the 1900s would give any modern side a 2-goal start and beat them, and furthermore, beat them at a trot. Newcastle United went on to win the league on 3 occasions during the 1900s, 1904-05, 1906-07, and 1908-09. In 1904-05, they nearly actually did the double, losing to Aston Villa in the 1905 FA Cup final. They were beaten again the following year by Everton in the 1906 FA Cup final. They reached the final again in 1908, and you guessed it, they finally actually did win the FA Cup in 1910, where they beat Barnsley in the final. They lost again the following year in the final against Bradford City. The team returned to the FA Cup final in 1924, in the second final, which was held at the then new Wembley Stadium. They defeated Aston Villa, winning the club's second FA Cup. 3 years later, they won the First Division Championship for a fourth time in 1926-27, with Hughie Gallagher, one of the most prolific goal scorers in the club's history, captaining the team. Other key players of this period were Neil Harris, Stan Seymour and Frank Hudspeth. In 1930, Newcastle United came close to relegation, and at the end of the season, Gallagher left the club for Chelsea, and at the same time, Andy Cunningham became the club's first team manager. In 1931-32, the club won the FA Cup for a third time. However, a couple of years later, at the end of the 1933-34 season, the team were relegated to the second division after 35 seasons in the top flight. Cunningham left as manager, and Tom Maffer took over. The club found it difficult to adjust to the second division and were really relegated in the 1937-38 season, when we were spared, luckily, on goal averages as it was back in the day. However, when World War II did break out in 1939, Newcastle had a chance to regroup, and in the war period, they brought in Jackie Milburn, Tommy Walker and Bobby Cowell. They were finally promoted back to the First Division at the end of the 1947-48 season. During the 1950s, Newcastle won the FA Cup trophy on 3 occasions during a 5-year period, beating Blackpool in 1951, Arsenal in 1952, and Manchester City in 1955. However, after the last FA Cup victory, the club fell back into decline and were relegated to the second division once again at the end of the 1960-61 season under the management of Charlie Mitten. Mitten left after 1 season in the second division and was replaced by former player Joe Harvey. Newcastle returned to the first division at the end of the 1964-65 season after winning the second division title. Under Harvey, the club qualified for European competition for the first time in the club's history. After a good run in the 1967-68 season, and the following year they did actually win the 1969 Intercities Fairs Cup final, where they triumphed 6-2 over 2 legs against Hungary's Ujpest in the final. Harvey brought in striker Malcolm MacDonald in the summer of 1971. For a club record transfer fee of £180,000. This is worth £2,562,961 in modern day money. He was an impressive goal scorer who led United's attack to Wembley in their 1974 FA Cup final defeat at the hands of Liverpool. The club also back-to-back triumphs in the Texaco Cup in 1974 and 1975. Harvey left the club in 1975, with Gordon Lee brought in to replace him. Lee took the team to the 1976 EFL Cup final against Manchester City, but they didn't win the trophy however, that doesn't make sense. So they failed to bring back the trophy. However, he sold MacDonald to Arsenal at the end of the season. This was a decision which MacDonald later said, "I love Newcastle," until Gordon Lee took over. Lee left for Everton in 1977 and was replaced by Richard Dinnis. United dropped once again into the second division at the end of the 1977-78 season. Dinnis was replaced by Bill McGarry, and he in turn for Cox, very well known for his time at Derby during the 1980s to manage to get them from I think it was third division team to first division. Cox steered Newcastle back to the first division at the end of the 1983-84 season, with players such as Peter Beardsley, Chris Waddle, and ex-England captain Kevin Keegan, all very famous names nowadays, the fulcrum of the team. However, with a lack of funds, Cox left for Derby County and Keegan retired, with managers such as Jack Charlton and then Willie McFall. Newcastle remained in the top flight until key players such as Waddle, Beardsley and Paul Gascoigne were all sold. And the team was relegated once more in 1989. But Fall left the managerial post and was replaced by Jim Smith, also equally famous for Derby, managing to get them into I think it was 9th place in the Premier League. Smith left at the start of the 1991-92 season, and the board appointed Osvaldo Ardiles his replacement. Sir John Hall became the club's chairman in 1992 and replaced Ardiles with Keegan, who managed to save the team from relegation to the 3rd division. Keegan was given more money for players, where he brought in Rob Lee, Paul Bracewell, and Barry Venison. The club then won the 1st Division Championship at the end of the 1992-93 season, earning promotion to the then new Premier League. At the end of the first year of 1993-94, back in top flight, they finished 3rd. That was their highest finish they had managed to achieve since 1927. The attacking philosophy of Keegan led to the team being labelled the Entertainers by Sky Sports. Keegan took Newcastle to 2 consecutive runners-up finishes in the league in 1995-96 and 1996-97, coming very close to winning the title in the former season, which included a 4-3 game against Liverpool at Anfield. This is often considered actually the greatest game in Premier League history, which ended with a defining image of the Premier League, with Keegan slumped over the advertising hoarding. The success of the team was in part due to the attacking talent of players like David Ginola, Les Ferdinand, and the most famous of all, Alan Shearer, who was signed on the 30th of 1996 for a then world record fee of £15 million. Keegan left Newcastle in January 1997 and was replaced by the equally famous Kenny Dalglish. However, the club endured a largely unsuccessful season with a 13th place finish in the 1997 Premier League. Failure to progress beyond the group stages of the 1997-98 UEFA Champions League, despite beating Barcelona and group winners at Dinamo Kiev at St James's Park, as well as coming from 2-0 down to draw 2 apiece with Valery Lobonvisky's team in Ukraine, and defeat in the 1998 FA Cup final. Dalglish was replaced as manager early in the following season by Ruud Gullit. The club once again finished 13th in the league and lost the 1999 FA Cup final. Gullit to disagreements with the club and chairman Freddie Shepherd, and quit the club 4 games into the 1999-2000 season with the team bottom. He was then replaced by Bobby Robson. The club managed to reach an FA Cup semi-final and to stay in the Premier League. A title challenge emerged during the 2001-2 season, and Newcastle's 4th place finish did see them qualify for the Champions League. The following season, Robson guided the team to another title challenge and finished 3rd in the league and the second group stage of the Champions League, after being the first team to progress past the group stage since losing their first 3 games. Newcastle finished 5th in the league at the end of the 2003-4 Champions League in qualifying rounds, but despite this, Robson was sacked in August 2004, following a series of disagreements with the club. Another famous manager came along of Graham Souness, was brought in to manage by the start of the 2004-5 season. In his helm, he broke the club's record transfer fee by signing Michael Owen. Souness also took the Geordies to the quarter-finals of the 2005 UEFA Cup, with Alan Shearer winning the tournament's Golden Boot as well. However, he was sacked in February 2006 after a bad start to the club's 2005-6 season. Glenn Roeder took over, initially on a temporary basis, but was then appointed full-time at the end of the season. Shearer retired at the end of the 2005-6 season as the club's all-time record scorer with 206 goals. Despite finishing the 2005-6 season in 7th, Roeder's fortunes had changed in the 2006-7 season with a terrible injury run to the senior squad, and he left the club by mutual consent on the 6th of May 2007. After the 2006-7 season and inside the Premier League era, Newcastle United we're now the 5th most successful Premiership club in terms of points gained. Another famous name in terms of management, Sam Allardyce, was appointed Broder's replacement as manager on the 15th of May 2007. On the 7th of June, Freddie Shepherd's final shares in the club were sold to the much-hated Mike Ashley, and Shepherd was replaced as chairman by Chris Mort on the 25th of July. Ashley then announced that he would be delisting the club from the London Stock Exchange upon completion of a takeover. The club officially ceased trading on the stock exchange as of 8 a.m. on the 18th of July 2007 at 5p a share. Allardyce departed the club in January 2008 by mutual consent after a bad start to the 2007-8 season, and Kevin Keegan was reappointed as Newcastle manager. Moore stepped down as chairman in June and was replaced by Derek Lambias, a long-term associate of Ashley. Newcastle finished the 2007-8 season in 12th place. But as the season grew to a close, Keegan publicly criticised the board, stating that they were not providing the team enough financial support. This was the start of a very, very bad time. In September 2008, Keegan resigned as manager, stating, "It's my opinion that a manager must have a right to manage, and the club should not impose upon any manager any player that he does not want." Former Wimbledon manager Joe Kinnear was appointed as his replacement. But in February 2009, due to his heart surgery, Alan Shearer was appointed interim manager in his absence. Under Shearer, the club were relegated to the Football League Championship at the end of the 2008-9 season, the first time the club had left the Premier League since joining it in 1993. Following their relegation, the club was put up for sale in June 2009 with an asking price of £100 million. Chris Shuton was given the manager job on a caretaker basis before taking over full-time on the 27th of October 2009. On the same day, Ashley announced that the club was no longer for sale. Houghton led Newcastle to win the 2009-10 EFL Championship, securing automatic promotion on the 5th of April 2010, with 5 games remaining and securing the title on the 19th of April. Newcastle were promoted back to the Premier League after just 1 season away. Under Houghton, Newcastle enjoyed a strong start to the 2010-11 season, but he was sacked on the 6th of December 2010. The club's board stated that they felt an individual with more managerial experience was needed to take the club forward. 3 days later, another famous manager, Alan Pardew, was appointed as manager with a 5.5-year contract. Despite some turbulence, Newcastle were able to finish 12th at the end of the season, with one particular highlight being a 4-4 home draw against Arsenal that saw Newcastle come back from 4 goals down to claim a point. The start of the 2011-12 season was very successful, as they went on to enjoy one of their strongest openings to a season, playing 11 consecutive games unbeaten. Newcastle eventually secured a place in the 2012-13 Europa League, with the 5th place finish, their highest league position since the Bobby Robson days. Further honours were to come as Pardew won both the Premier League Manager of the Season and the LMA Manager of the Year awards. In the following season, Newcastle made few acquisitions in the summer and suffered injuries over the season. As a result, the first half of the season was marred by a run of 10 losses in 13 games, which saw the club sink near to the relegation zone. The Europa League campaign was largely successful, however, with the team making the quarter-finals before bowing out to eventual finalists Benfica. Domestically, Newcastle struggled and stayed up after a 2-1 victory over already relegated Queen's Park Rangers on the penultimate game of the season. The 2014-15 season saw Newcastle fail to win any of their first 7 games, prompting fans to start a campaign to get Pardew sacked as manager, before an upturn in form saw them climb to 5th in the table. Pardew then left for Crystal Palace in December. On the 26th of January 2015, his assistant John Carver was put in charge for the remainder of the season, but he also came close to relegation, staying up on the final day with a 2-0 home win against West Ham, with Jonas Gutierrez, who beat testicular cancer early in the season, scoring the team's 2nd goal. On the 9th of June 2015, Carver was sacked and replaced by Steve McLaren, who is very famous in Derby County circles, who is currently technical director at the Army. The following day, on the 11th of March 2016, McLaren was sacked after 9 months as manager, with Newcastle in 19th place in the Premier League, and the club having won just 6 of the 28 Premier League games during his time at the club. He seems not to have done as well leaving Derby then, eh? He was replaced by Spaniard Rafael Benitez, also incredibly famous, on the same day, who signed a 3-year deal, but he was not able to prevent the club from being relegated for the second time under Ashley's ownership. Newcastle returned to the Premier League, however, at the first attempt, winning the championship title on the 7th of May 2017, with a 3-0 win against Barnsley. On the 16th of October 2017, Mike Ashley put Newcastle United up for sale for a second time. The team finished the season with a 3-0 win over the previous year's champions, Chelsea, their highest finish in 4 years. The following season saw a 13th place finish, despite being in the relegation zone in January. As such, Ashley came under increased scrutiny for his lack of investment in the squad and apparent focus on other business ventures. Benitez left his position on the 30th of June 2019 after rejecting a new contract. On the 17th of July 2019, Steve Bruce was appointed manager on a 3-year contract. So there's just one added fact which I've actually found out while doing my research, that technically people have freedom of the city of Newcastle can technically have their sheep to eat the grass on St James's Park's playing field. However, they don't do that and get paid a tax by the people of Newcastle to do that. So just thought you wanted to know that information, which I found extremely interesting when researching. So on Sunday, I'm doing the League 2 Best Starting 11, the final one in that mini-series. And then next week, I will be doing the history of Sheffield United. I think it's Sheffield United, which I'm doing. Let's just find out. I've got my planner coming up here. Yep, Sheffield United. That's the next one. So, see you then.